NIO stock $8 to $10 this week. What are we thinking? Let's talk about it. By the way, this is the video. I'll link this in case you haven't seen it. My deep dive on the next upward price levels that I was watching. Kind of a deep dive on that. 8 to 10 obviously is the one we're talking about in this video. So let's get into it. This on the right hand side, you've got today's stock price action for NIO. On the left hand side, you've got this dating back to September 10th. The reason I did this and honed in on this, not quite one calendar month, which as I record this, by the way, it's Monday, October 6th, 2025. The market is closed. I wanted to get this data in to look at and talk about for this video. So if we go back, not quite a month after dilution, this represents trade volume. And there have only been 3 days, these 2 in a row, where the stock price obviously moved up. And then this one, where it came down a little bit, where NIO stock had 100 million share trade volume on those days. So you had 2 in a row. This is during the trade day, and the stock price obviously moved up. One here where it maybe pulled back, but here's the best part, is considering none of these days are 100 million share trade volume days, we've had lower trade volume. And even with the elevated FTDs continuing, I want to read to you the lows from September 11th until today. NIO stock low on September 11th, $5.77. And then we're just going to continue to move forward and read them off. $5.94, $6.42, $6.48, $7.05, $7.20, $7.28, $6.80, $6.77, $6.98, $7, $6.96, $6.92, $7.30, $7.54, $7.64, $7.50, $7.58. By the way, this one, the high on this day was $8.02. We've already had that teaser from NIO stock above $8. And the best part is this came on a low volume day, only 81.5 roughly million shares traded during the day. So even with low volume in the near term, NIO stock continues to move up and consolidate at levels that we hadn't seen in a while. In fact, check this out. I think you're going to like it. If we go back just a few years, if I could cue this up just right, I'm going to show you what sort of stood out to me. Okay, so this is the end of, this is basically October from 3 years ago, 2022. And the NIO stock price is coming off of being in the 20s and above, right? Here's what's interesting is, and by the way, on the right-hand side, this does not show all the updated data. It only goes through September 11th. So we are obviously higher than that. In fact, we're consolidating about this high point here. And so that's what makes this a little interesting. Yes, we've got the $8 to $10 level, which I said is kind of the one I'm watching now. We've already seen that teaser at the 802 point. But here's what's interesting. And I'm going to pull some random days and read the lows and the, let's do the lows and the highs. $7.13 for the low, $7.34 for the high. How about here? You've got $7.40 for the low, $7.64 for the high. How about over here? You've got, ooh, that's a little too high. Let's go to the lower point because I want to stay focused on where we are. And this is kind of that floor where we're consolidating, right? It was the floor coming off of this when we were coming down to the downside. And that's why I wanted to hone in on it. So right here, we got a lower point, $7.15 for the low, $7.54 for the high. There's another low point. I'm just picking random days, 733 and 775. So we're right in that range. Okay. If we come back to what we're seeing these last few days, you're low at 730, you're high at 778, you're low at 754, you're high at 790, you're low at 764, you're high at $8.02. You're low of 750, high of 780. We're right in that same range. And that's what I wanted to share and illustrate as to why I think we're in such a kind of fun time. Basically, good luck to the shorts if they want to keep shorting this. I think it's just dangerous and a bad idea, but hey, they are welcome to do it because that may create more buying pressure to the upside if they get caught and torched. And then maybe we see some craziness like we saw back here, but I don't even care if we see that or not. I just want to know if we're going to see it. And more importantly, I want to recognize that it's really hard to argue with this as a very short-term uptrend. And even as we go back a little bit further, NIO is looking very nice. just in these last few months. And the stock price, as I had showed, here, it's been several years to the downside. But at the same time, I have pointed it out, and I want to say it again right now. This is a lot of FTDs. And if shorts had to take several years and this amount of effort to take the stock price down, then it shouldn't be surprising if or when we see the stock price move up faster. And it does tend to move up faster than we see it come down for NIO. And it just becomes even more fascinating when you see, that only on 2 days of 100 million share trade volume, we have this kind of move, And so before that, you had a few days really of consolidation, and that's off after dilution. So I just think it's a fun time to be in the stock right now. And that's even just being from coming from a researcher or analytical kind of nerding out standpoint, which is what I'm doing totally 100% in this video. But it brings me back to my question is, what do you think? Are we going to see, we've already seen that teaser at the $8 level. Are we going to see an $8 to $10, price point or move this week? And if so, what is it going to take? Are we going to need, let's say, a couple of days with 100 million share trade volume? And if we don't see that, do you think we see NIO Stock come back down? Do you think we just consolidate for longer? I'm leaning in a camp of, since this last Friday, we didn't see the market makers who are also shorts with put positions in NIO or shorting NIO. We didn't see them take the stock price down. Where did it finish? Let's see. The low for the day was 750 and the close was at 768, but max pain was at $7. So if they wanted to manipulate stock price, they either were unable to do so like they would have wanted to, or they're just not that interested, because with only 58 million shares traded on that day, that was a very low volume day compared to what we had seen not too long ago. I think it was about a week earlier, and that's what put that on my radar in the first place, is that it looked like intraday maybe on that last Friday that they had done some level of gamesmanship, should we call it. Was this that day? Might have been that day. Yeah, your low is 696. Your close was 704. I think that was your day, September 26th, and that was a Friday, which would have been options expiry. And the options expiry, the max pain was $7. So I think it was $7 again this last Friday. I did a video talking about it, but obviously I'm nerding out so heavily on this data. There's a lot that I'm sharing and looking at and thinking about. So the video would be easier to reference than me trusting my own crazy brain at this point. So anyway, I do know that we had lower volume this past Friday and we had a higher close, and it was a much higher close than where max pain would have been. So that all seems to indicate bullishness, bulls being in control, remaining in control. And again, I think big picture, if shorts are going to try and get back in control of this thing, then they better get on it when there are low trade volume days, because this is the kind of effort that they needed just in the US market to slowly walk this thing down. And I'm not going to be surprised if or when we start seeing NIO pop. I don't mind if we have a slow climb and a move all the way back up to new all-time highs. That'll be fun too. I will keep nerding out on the data either way and sharing things along the way. But this is about my fifth take on the video, and I realized it was going to be a little longer. So I'll create timestamps and drop them in the description, so the video is easier to navigate or reference back to, as that kind of makes things fun and enjoyable along the way. Long-term remains the view for me, but as you'll see at the bottom of the screen, the trade volume certainly seems to matter. The FTDs also matter unless trade volume says otherwise. So sentiment, I still think we're at the early stages of that shifting. I think we've got a long way to go before we have a full sentiment shift. And that I also think means we've got more bullish price action, even in the short term, for NIO Stock ahead. That's my take. And that's all it is. So drop it in the comments and let me know what you think. $8, $9, $10, any of those this week. We did already have the teaser, of about the $8 range. So it feels like we're consolidating at that, 750-ish or above level. On lower volume, I'm happy about that. And that's why I won't be surprised if we see a move above $8. If we have back-to-back days of 100 million share trade volume, then that's where things could get really interesting, because I think either shorts would have to make a strong move to try and take it back down, or it's really going to be an indicator that we're about to see another move up, or we may see it kind of in real time as NIO Stock can move that fast. But I talked so much. I'm cutting myself off right now. Thanks for sticking around to the end. I know some of you did. I'll see y'all again very soon.